Hi guys, happy Sunday and all that. Hope everyone's doing well. I thought I'd take another opportunity to answer some of the questions that you've kindly posted for me and the rest of the PQ guys on Facebook. As I said in the first episode, there were quite a number of questions, so it only seemed fitting to break it down. Anyway, without further ado, let's dive straight in with a question from my old pal Loz Lambert, who's asked a question that a few people have asked, to be fair, and that's, would it be possible for us to show in video how to play some of the classic PQ tracks? I think he's particularly coming at the guitar angle here, and I've already had a word with Dan and Gav about this kind of thing, and they're up for doing it. So really it's a case of, are there any particular songs you want us to start with? Let us know, mate. The next one's from our real legend in terms of PQ fans, Dominic James Feargrave. He's been with us, well, almost since day one, I think. And he's asking what inspired me to put the band back together. It's quite a multifaceted answer to that question, I think. And I suppose, to be fair, it was very much a personal thing for me. I think in a lot of ways I'd missed the whole PQ thing being in my life and so on and so forth. I'd missed the writing aspect, and perhaps more importantly, I'd missed the regular get-togethers with the guys. As most of you know, we used to have a weekend every month where we'd get together, sometimes for 3 days, more often for 2, and it was a real a social thing as well as a musical thing. And given that in my day job now I work from the room that you see me sat in, which is also the room that I do most of my writing and so on and so forth, business stuff for PQ as well. So there was an element of me becoming a hermit to a degree, and I needed to break out of that ever decreasing circle. But more importantly, I think sometimes you don't know what you've got till it's gone, and I think me and Power Quest were kind of joined at the hip in many respects, and I just felt it was time. I needed to do it again. I think the other guys certainly wanted to do it again. So here we are. Another question here from Peter Berkey. He's asking a gear question, really. What kind of synths do you use? Okay, well, for many years I've used a called Triton Extreme and a Nord Lead 3. And I've added to that, you can see it sat here in the background, called Kronos 2, which is a hell of a piece of kit, and it's given me a few more options, shall we say, when it comes to writing and arranging. I'm also playing a lot more guitar than I used to be, and consequently you can see in the background on that side a nice little Dave Mustaine Custom V, very kindly supplied through Dean Guitars, and in this country the vendor is Bill Lewington, so big shout out to Matt Speed and all the guys at Bill Lewington who are supporting me, Dan, Gav and Paul when it comes to guitars and bass. Awesome guys, awesome instruments. Question from Cormac Downs, who asks, are you inspired by 80s music, and if so, what, who, and all that kind of thing? Well, yeah, given I'm pushing on in years now. I was a teenager in the 80s, so there's a massive influence from that time period, not only from a rock and metal perspective. I was massively into all the usual things, Motorhead, Maiden. I was listening to those bands early 80s, 80, 81, that kind of thing. Got into acts like Van Halen. Certainly the bands like Cinderella, who came along out of the LA scene towards the mid and latter part of the 80s. I was massively into those guys as well, along with Slayer, Megadeth, and all that kind of thing too. But perhaps with PQ, one of the lesser known, I suppose, not so much influences, but things that rub off in your style is the kind of 80s pop music. I love, even now, I think pop music then compared to these days is different league, and bands like a-ha, Pet Shop Boys, Erasure, people like that, Howard Jones. I could go on forever, but you know, the fact that these acts were all keyboard driven, I think that's what struck a chord with me, and I think it probably has had a certain degree of influence in some areas of my writing at any rate. So yeah, you know, the 80s were kick ass, mate. Absolutely superb. What have we got here? Mike Cundall, he says, I love PQ, but your support for gigs, touring and stuff was disappointing. Why come back when the world doesn't deserve you? Well, fantastic question and a compliment in many ways. But, you know, ultimately, as I was alluding to in the question asked by Power Metal Dom, you're not coming back for, you know, greed reasons or to make a quick buck. We never made a slow buck back in the day, never mind a fast one. So it's not about that. It's about the fact that this is something we all love to do, particularly I love to do. I know plenty of you guys love the fact that we did it and that we're doing it again. And I just hope we can continue on in that vein. You know, it's a difficult one in some respects, because at the end of the day, business is business and finance is finance and accountancy and blah 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 blah. But for me, you know, it's well known, we all have day jobs, that this is about, you know, living the dream in a sense of being able to go to as many places as we can, play the songs that you guys love, and you know, have some fun with you as well. You know, playing the show's half the battle. The fun bits afterwards, when we get to hang out with you guys, quaff a beer or two together and all that kind of stuff. You know, that's what makes the music world go round for me. I think finally we're going to touch on a question here from Jeremy Andros. He says, no two albums with you guys have been the same. Are you planning another style adjustment, or can we expect something similar to Blood Alliance? Well, I'm not sure we ever planned style adjustments. You know, things like the advent of the hard rock stuff when Neverworld came out was a world away from Wings of Forever, for example, and I guess Master of Illusion and some of the more modern rhythmic elements in there and more serious lyrical content was a world away from Magic Never Dies. It's very hard to, I never sit down and think, right, I've got to write an album in this style or with these influences, or I've been listening to this band, it would be good to do what they do. You know, that's nonsense, isn't it? You know, I write what I write. I'm inspired by, you know, whatever's around me, what I've read, what I've watched on TV, film, read in the newspaper, that kind of stuff. And sometimes it's just a feel-good message. You know, you hear a phrase, and Better Days is a good example of that. You hear a phrase and you build a song around it, you know, not in a kind of clinical way, but it just flows in that manner. So in terms of where we're going in the future, I think there'll be, you know, an element of the Blood Alliance kind of guitar-y type stuff. And I think there'll be an element of what went before as well, you know, but ultimately I think there'll be some new ideas in there as well. So the melting pot will be quite loaded, to be honest. So yeah, watch this space. So yeah, there's a few more questions answered for you guys. Little bit of news to give you at the tail end of this little broadcast. We'll be announcing the first band to join us in September at Camden Underworld on May the 13th. It's going to be the opening band, and I'm quite excited to let you guys know who that is. So that's all for me for now. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and take it easy, and keep with us. We'll be back soon with more updates for you. Lots going on. It's an exciting time. Cheers all. Ta-da.